Welcome, everybody, to the first official Construction CEO podcast. This has been an idea in the making for some time now. And today I have Rob Scott, who's the CEO of Scott Coatings, which is a commercial and industrial painting contracting company. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
So I want to start here. So I mentioned this before us recording. We have known each other for years, but obviously a lot of the listeners may not know who you are. The first thing I want to start with is I was looking at your LinkedIn. There's two things that stuck out to me. One of them is 22 years over 22 years in business. I'm curious to see your thoughts when you hear that number. You've been in business for 22 years. What are your thoughts?
Man, I thought I'd know more and be farther along than I am after 22 years. My gosh. It feels like a great accomplishment, and also it feels like, man, I just don't know that much. I got a long ways to go. But I will say, after doing it this long, I love this industry more than I did when I first started. So that's a good thing.
So, I'm just curious, just right off the top of your head, what are one or a few things that you've learned to love about the industry so far that you maybe you didn't initially?
I think it's a piece that made my wife, Tina, say when I was in college, wanting to major in finance and stay as far away from this industry as possible. We could afford to go out to eat like a cheap restaurant downtown Seattle if we went maybe once a month. But whenever we were there, wherever we were at, I would always point out all the jobs. Look at this, we're doing this, or what about that job? It's so cool. She goes, why are you thinking about doing what you're thinking about doing when all you do is talk about how cool what you do is? And it's a thing that made sure I did this and still keeps me there. I'm the dad that's driving around the city or driving somewhere with the kids and look at we're doing this, or look at how cool that job is. So it's just awesome to be part of seeing things get built. I think it's still cool. I'm just a little kid that pushing dirt around and wants to watch my two neighbors are building houses directly across from our street. And on Saturday, they had the plywood truck loading the trusses up. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. And Tina's like, you're really going to watch that? I'm like, yeah, this is cool. And I went outside with my dog and I watched it. I was like, I think it's cool. That hasn't changed.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's grown on you. It sounds like over the years. Yeah. So here's the other observation I made about your LinkedIn. And we're definitely I want to unpack for sure. Because it sounds like there was a background of this wasn't initially the plan was, what you have now. It sounds like there's a different path. But when I go on your LinkedIn, for the most part, I feel like I see like individuals have CEO, founder, president, all these sort of things. But yours says husband to Tina Scott, father of three, and then CEO of Scott Coatings. I'm sure there's an intentional reason as to that, but I'm curious. I would love to hear your take on that.
I don't know when it hit me. Probably when I got married. I grew up and there was a lot of really successful people, kids I went to school with, seeing their families really successful. And I mean, there's always a scale, a spectrum. Success or wealth doesn't mean you don't have a great marriage or don't have good kids. I don't think there's a direct correlation, but it doesn't always mean people love each other. Just because someone stays married doesn't mean they're happily married. And when I met Tina, I'm like, man, I'm pretty lucky. Like I want to make sure this stays good to the best degree that I can. And then when we started having kids, I'm like, this is the whole point here. Like I'm going to be dead one day and I want to make sure that I always say, like, I want to be called Pop. That's what I want to be called by my grandkids someday. Like I want generations of Scots to be talking about Pop that, man, he sure loved Grandma Tina and look at what they did. And to the degree that there's any talk about Scott Coatings or anything like that, that should all be like tertiary. Like everything that they have or they are is only because there was love that fought for love first and foremost, and everything like flowed out of that. And that has become more real after 25 years of marriage, after some amazing years in business and some of the worst that made me question if the company was even going to last. But that's always been there and gotten stronger and stronger over the years. And so if I think that, why shouldn't I present that to the world? Because some people will think it's a joke and they don't want to be hear anything that I have to say. And I'm like, great, then you're right. Go listen to someone else. So yeah, that's why I put it there.
It's interesting because there's two stories or videos that come to mind. One of them, I think it's like this billionaire, this individual is asking him, it's like, hey, what is success for you? It's like, he's like, that my adult children love me.
It is. Yeah, my son's at college, and he just sent a text right before he left that he is going to a swim meet. He was getting on the bus heading to like, I don't know, 5-hour drive. And I know people whose kids they barely talk to that live with them, let alone if they're away at college. And I'm like, what's the point? Like, I had these dudes because I want to be around them. I like them, and I want my grown-up kids to like me, and because I like them and I want to be around them. I mean, I hope one day they live close. Maybe they won't, but if they live close, I want to see them every week. I want to have a family meal. So yeah, money has zero value if my kids, grandkids don't love me and want to be around me and know me. I can't imagine. Like, this money is pointless at that point in time. There's zero value to me, at least.
It is so interesting because obviously, the whole point of construction CEOs is to tell stories of contractors building their business and all sort of things. And it's interesting. The reality is everybody can define success for themselves. But when we hear success, we usually think of things like status, money, all these sort of things. And it's interesting. We're starting this first episode talking about family and all sorts of stuff. And I 100% relate to that because I'm starting to see, like, I'm basically like, I'm paying attention that there's this, like I said, there was another story of an individual basically literally saying that the best part, like, he's like, the best time of the week for him is when he's at home. He's an accomplished, he exited a few companies. He's a professor in business. He says the best time of the week for me is Sunday. I sit on the couch, put on some football. My two older sons come over. They put their legs on my lap, and then my dog comes sits right next to me. He's like, I don't care about anything else. He's like, I don't think about anything else other than that moment. And so the reason I say this, and I want to point this out, like with regards to your LinkedIn, is for me, especially earlier in my career, I'm like, okay, well, what matters? Because I see everybody talk about, doing all these things, and it's like, if that's success for them, and if that's what they love, awesome. But for me, I'm also paying attention to a lot of the individuals who eventually reach a certain pinnacle of success. There's this guy who exited his company maybe 3-4 years ago, and I can't remember. It might have been $15 to $20 million is what ended up hitting his bank. And he's like, I felt absolutely hopeless. I felt awful. He's like, really, this is it? This is, and it's not to say, eventually he probably figured out all this sort of stuff, but the piece that I noticed is like, money or business or whatever success isn't just what we like materially have.
Mm-hmm. It is. It makes me tear up thinking, because we were at Parents Weekend 3 weeks ago, I think, at my son's school, and we came back to our hotel room before we were going to go on to dinner or something, and my wife and I had watched a movie the night before, and Tyson's like, "You guys watched it without me?" And it's like, well, Mom's got something to do for a while, and our dinner reservations aren't for an hour and a half. Do you want to watch the beginning? And it's like, so yeah, we watched a few bit, but same thing. And Tina has a picture of us on there, and his legs are on top of mine. I'm like, dude, I won. Like, this is it.
Wow.
Now I just need to continue that. And so it's real. And I think listeners, there's not right or wrong. People need to choose who they want to follow, but be really careful who you follow and who you pay attention to, because it will get on you and it sticks. And my judgment, I want to be cautious to judge, but one leaves you empty and one doesn't. And I've had a bank account with nothing on it and owed people money, and I may be depressed and stressed, but I'm not empty. And there's been times where there's been more than plenty, and I'm not empty. And so it's a feeling that's real. It's like those people in your life, they make everything worth it or not, at least from my vantage point.
Yeah, and honestly, I personally just want to continue like this conversation, continue down this rabbit hole and see what happens. But going back to the construction piece, I'm curious, like, well, and it sounds like based on your intro was construction wasn't really a part of the equation. So like, how did you initially like before starting Scott Coatings? What's that story of like getting into construction or getting exposure to construction?
Yeah, my dad was a fireman growing up. So firemen, at least here in the Seattle market, work one, off two, work one, off four. And so he always did stuff on the side, and he painted houses for us. Like he put us all through private college or private school. Super grateful. I mean, he was he's still alive. Great guy. Extremely hard worker. So always did painting on the side. So I learned how to paint, came to the job sites when I was younger. Like I just did whatever he said. I don't even think I was paid. And then I started doing it, making money. But I just remember we called this van Big Blue, the oldest, ugliest van ever. So at the private school I went to, that's the last thing in the world I ever wanted to pull up was Big Blue. And because it was humiliating. Everyone else had Mercedes or whatever, all nice cars, and I got picked up in Big Blue or my mom's, oh gosh, ugly maroon station wagon. So it's like to me, I correlated that to what the trades look like. Like, why? I don't want to do that. Yeah, I had a good upbringing, but why would I want to be in the trades if this is what it's correlated with? And then you mature as you get older, and your fiance at the time, and then soon to be wife, tells you, I was like, well, stick with what you love and your passion and just build it. So I did. That's where I was around construction, residential construction. And then I helped my dad grow into the commercial piece. And then when I graduated, he didn't want to grow a company. He didn't need to, he didn't want to, and he didn't want the stress. And so I parted ways and grew what we know to Scott Coatings. And then he kept doing his fireman thing and slowly wound down the painting company because 4 kids to none, he doesn't need to make as much money.
Yeah.
And then he retired.
So my dad also had his own like small residential painting company, and so I got to work with my dad. And I'm curious, what was your experience like working with your dad in those early days?
The man my dad is today is not the guy that I knew growing up. He was, in a lot of ways, it's I don't know, it's messed up, I guess, but I'm so grateful of the work ethic I was taught. Because it didn't matter how long you had to get it done, and you just had to go faster, get it done right, make sure that it's perfect, and you better get faster and faster and faster, because that's all that matters. And so that was just what I was taught. And there wasn't kindness. There wasn't a lot of encouragement. It was a lot of yelling and screaming and everything I did to screw up. And that's just the way it was. So I had to unlearn a lot of those behaviors. But the piece that I never want to get rid of, and the piece that both Tina and I, and one of our core values at Scott Coatings is grit, that I pray is so ingrained in my children and my children's children, is just that work ethic, that you do whatever you need to do to get the job done, to do it excellently, and do it harder and faster than anyone else. So yeah, he was not a nice person growing up.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure like the reality is like, I honestly think, especially everything that we experience as young kids, can still be, regardless of, because we're all imperfect people. Like I'm sure there's probably moments for you or for me where we're like, yeah, I wish I wouldn't have said that or done that.
Yeah.
And so it's just life happens, but I'm sure that stuff can still be formative and something beautiful can still come from that. But my thing is, eventually, obviously you decided, so you alluded, obviously you eventually, like, you and Tina talked about it, but you were pursuing a different career path though initially, right? Before actually jumping the gun to go to Scott Coatings. What was that? And what was the plan there?
Yeah, I was working for my dad's company doing the same thing. and I worked for his company all the way through college. I estimated jobs, I project managed jobs, and I would schedule the guys and deliver paint to and from the warehouse to the projects. And we just talked about it, tried to see if we could come up with some sort of solution that would work with my dad. And in retrospect, I look back. For years, I thought it's him. It didn't work out with him because I didn't want to. I thought it would have been cool to do that, and I blamed him for 3 years. Like we didn't talk after that. It wasn't a pretty parting.
Yeah.
But I was just as much to blame as him. But I wanted to stay in the trades. I wanted to keep doing what I'm doing. It when I knew it, I loved it, and continue on the path as we started Scott Coatings.
So why not just jump into project manager or estimate or something for a different painting contractor? Why, like, what was the decision process for you to actually start your own, and what was that thought process?
You know what? I was just talking about this the other day to Tina. There's a lot of pieces that in variety of times, I wish I had gone to work for like a big company like Bechtel or Kiewit, traveled before we had kids and just learned systems and processes and structure and training programs. I mean, they've got a system and a process for everything and the way to do it and why you do it this way, because they've had tons of trial and error on a large scale, but they've got it all the way down to how to put quantities complete in for the day. But I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. And this was in front of me. And I guess this is what I should have done, or I have to do. I don't know. I guess I was just doing it. Like, I don't even know if I look back, I don't even know if I thought about going like, I should go apply for something and learn how to be a project manager and estimator. It wasn't even that I was against it. I just didn't thought. I was like, well, this is what I'm doing. I should just continue doing it. So it wasn't right or wrong, or I don't even think it was in the decision matrix to even do. I should ask my wife for a picture of the story, but I would venture to say it's probably the same.
Did you always picture yourself though as like a business owner or entrepreneur? Was that always a thing, or was it just like you said, you just didn't think about it? You just, hey, I'm just gonna start doing this.
Yeah, no, I did. That's what I always thought. I thought it would be taking over, building my dad's company and staying there. But yeah, I always thought one day, whether it was right from the beginning or at some point in time, that was the pathway.
So eventually you venture off and start your own business. I'm curious, what do you like? You reflecting back right now in this first few years, what experiences, stories, projects, people come to mind? Like who or what, or like, what are the early memories that you have that are super like ingrained and still vivid for you to this day of those first early years?
Oh my gosh. I'm really grateful that we didn't have kids for 6 years after we started.
Okay.
Because we just worked so much. It was like I would always work during the day until we started hiring painters. I'd go out and paint. And then the evenings were usually like paperwork or estimates. I remember our first house, like if we'd watch a movie in the basement and there'd be drawdowns all over the floor getting ready to turn into submittals, and we'd be stamping them and doing all the transmittals. So that working late together, setting up a job, or Tina's like, you got to get home. Cause like I was so used to being in the field. Coming in the office was just it was a hard transition. I mean, aside from having the fact that I'm ADHD and it's hard to sit still and focus on one thing, she's like, you got to come in and do billings. I'm like, can't you just do it? She goes, I don't know what to bill, Rob. I can do the form, but you have to do it. I'm like, oh. So that of just learning the structure of and the cadence of monthly reporting, doing that with her.
How'd you get your first project?
Yeah, how did we get our first project? What was our first project? I think there was a guy at the church we went to, like our true first company project there was, how many had track homes, like 8 track homes or whatever that I painted for him just to get cash flow going.
And you painted?
I painted all of them. And then my brother-in-law helped me. I don't remember if it was that one or another custom home, but he helped me paint the exterior of one. But yeah, painted all of them, sprayed, backrolled, and moused it all by myself. And then the first commercial project we got was down in, I think it's Lacey or Olympia. I don't remember which one it is. Right off of I-5. It's still there. I don't remember the name, if it's still Harborstone Credit Union. And it's right next to the Harley-Davidson dealership. It would be on the south side of I-5. And I bid it to Berkshire Phillips. It's no longer in business. I think there was a few former owners in Berkshire Phillips. I don't know if they closed down or sold. A few people started Former Construction. That's still around down south. They were building it. I was awarded the project. And there wasn't much painting on the outside. It was CMU water repellent. And then the interior of the bank, and then a couple of pieces, like a chunk of the second floor and the steel stairwells. But yeah, I think I did all that by myself too. I'd work all day Saturday, all day Sunday to try to get it done. And then I got the next one. I don't remember the contractor, if it was Berkshire Phillips again or HH&J Construction. Actually close to my parents' house in Fircrest, another Harborstone Credit Union. And I missed a bunch of steel on the drive-through canopy, so that was horrible. But I was paying my own labor, so I went way over hours, but it was my fault, and I just didn't get paid. It was me. So
yeah, and so it's just both you and your wife from the beginning building it.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's it.
So how long was that period of just you and her until you actually like, hey, I think we can actually begin to hire someone to start painting?
I'm trying to think if 6-8 months we brought on our first painter, and we got a job down at the Daily Journal of Commerce from the owner at the time. I'm sure Phil's still the owner. And we had to paint a bunch of a tenant, redo the interior of a tenant, the first floor of his office building. They were going to turn it over. And we were heading out of town for the first time. And the guy had been working there for a week. And I was like, all right, I'll be back in 3 days. And that was it. He was there a year. And then I think our second hire was a gentleman named Martin Rangel. He's still here.
Wow.
Yeah. And they just finished up a couple data centers. And yeah, he's still here. And then it just slowly kept growing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm curious now, like you looking back, obviously like on paper, it's like, hey, we hire you, you paint, you get paid. Simple.
Yeah.
The reality is probably a lot more chaotic than that. So I'm curious, what assumptions do you feel like you made earlier on before getting yourself into this whole thing where you're like, oh my, like what is going on?
Yeah. The assumptions that people do what they say they're going to do, and that when you sign a contract, it means something other than every detail of someone, and knowing all the details of the contract is important. And we do it, we pay attention to it now, but the things that people can just find reasons not to pay you or delay paying you, it's nuts. And I think that first year there was a couple contractors like, ooh, we're not working with them anymore. And then I have been so fortunate to work with really, really good customers over the years that I think maybe in 22 years if we've had $50,000 of total bad debt, I would be shocked. It's probably a lot less than that. Like, been pretty lucky. But assumptions that if you exclude something and it's excluded in the contract, and they all know that, and then they tell you that you need to do it, like, and you should have known. I'm like, how should have I known? I'd paint the thing the plans don't show, the specs don't show, isn't in my contract, and then you're going to yell and scream at me and say I'm not a good partner. And that hasn't gone away in 22 years. That still happens. I wish someone had told me that, and I had understood that more and more. It's like, man, That's nuts, but it happened then and it still happens now. I wish I had known that and prepared myself emotionally for that instead of getting frustrated.
So how do you deal with it now? Like, how do you, like, you know, when you, especially like, I guess, is it a natural default? And obviously I'm ignorant to this, where just your client just points to the contract and just holds you to the, like, all, you know, or whatever, or I guess what is the rhythm? And then, you know, what have you learned to grow or like learn from that process?
What do I learn? It's always easier to deal with someone sitting in front of them and talking through an issue than it is exchanging email. Well, it's easier to do emails back and forth. There's no question about that. It just doesn't usually go very well.
Yeah.
Because people they just escalate and escalate and escalate. So it's better to sit in front of someone who's trying, if you can talk it out and work through it. I'd say most of the time you can get pretty far with that with reasonable people. And then when you can't, you duke it out with the contract and concessions. You got to be able to make concessions, and so does the other party. And hopefully you can find common ground quick before it gets too expensive.
I assume that you've finished a project and didn't work for a GC ever, or for a period. Has it happened?
Yes. Both by choice and not by choice. Yeah, 22 years, I bet. And see, for the first probably 5 or 7 years, we worked for 3 or 4 contractors, I'd say, for the most part. 5 maybe. Because a big one in Tacoma that was just really, they were great to work for. Same people over and over. And as we grew, and we worked from our offices, like a suburb of Seattle, and we used to work primarily another half an hour south. And most of our work was for GCs in like the Kent Valley and in the Kent Valley. And as we started growing, our workforce started growing, we had to get more work outside of just warehouses, big brand new tilt-ups, the interior and exterior, and the tenant improvements. Because I was just about like, how do we keep the guys busy? And so you got to find other work, because work goes, and you got to find other types of work to keep them busy. So as we did that and we grew, it was hard, and when we got busy, to manage backlog, workload, scheduling guys, and really thinking through all that. And so it's like an alcoholic making amends. You go back and you admit what you did wrong, and you ask for forgiveness, whether they accept it or not.
Yeah.
So I bet, let's see, probably year 7 or 8, I had to go back and talk. Well, I didn't have to. I wanted to, because I just didn't feel good about the way a couple of the relationships ended. And then one of the companies we ended up leasing our second office warehouse from. So that was good. It made me feel good because I didn't.
Oh, you went to go make amends?
I did, yeah, for a couple of guys, because I was right on paper, but it doesn't mean you're right relationally, and it doesn't do anyone any good. I wish I was always right, but I'm not.
How did they respond when you, was it like out of the blue for them then? Did you just show up, or how did?
Yeah, it was out of the blue. A couple of them I called, and I don't know. I think there's generational awkwardness that people just don't talk about stuff.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. A couple of them were really awkward.
Like, whatever.
Yeah, it's like, oh, whatever, that's fine. It's over and done with. Yeah, and a couple of them were sincere, and I'm glad that we did it. We had the conversation. So, yeah, it's all about. It just depends on the person. Just I'd say a lot of men too just don't want to talk about stuff, whatever it may be, and their feelings. So it's like, yeah, whatever. Or they just harbor, like some people are bitter, and they just don't change. It's like, all right.
I'm not sure how this question will go, but I'm curious to see your thoughts. How much does pride and ego play a part in construction specifically? How often does that get in the way of whether it's in the field or in the like? What do you see?
Oh man, I mean, construction is just like anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pride and ego it seems like front and center in everything, whether it's in the field or the office or winning work and boasting in front of your competitor, or people making posts on LinkedIn about the cool big job they just did. And I've learned the lesson the hard way. The gentleman who founded FMI, a big construction consultancy, probably the biggest, he said, volume kills and profit thrills. And I would venture to say most of probably like the ENR's top 600, whether it's for subs, GCs, whatever it is all we see is the volume dollars. We don't get to see their bottom line. And I mean, that's pure and utter ego. Does it win specialty contractors or GCs any work? I don't know. It's marketing. It helps. Yeah. But it's hard. I mean, that was probably my biggest driver. It's like, oh, I want to be on there. I want to be in the top 10 specialty contractors on there. And I haven't been. And I don't know if I would ever, because you got to enter it yourself. It's not like they seek it out.
Yep.
I don't know if I would now. So I don't want to say that I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Maybe I would for a variety of reasons, but I don't know, because pride can just ruin things so fast, and take away what's supposed to be joy and building things that last and serve people. So, pride and ego are at the center of anything that goes wrong.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So I'm curious, like, then for you, like, you saying that, you wanted to be on this list, let's say years 1 through 10, if you were to sit with like Rob, what would he say success is? Like between the sub 10 years, what's success to him?
Yeah. Being the biggest painting contractor in the US. That is, if he's not on that list, then he hasn't succeeded. That would be my barometer. 100% sure. That was it. I had a picture on there. I put our name and our logo over there and put it higher than the highest person. That's what I looked at. That's what I thought about all the time. Yeah. I wouldn't do that again, but I did it. That's all I thought about.
So what's it now?
I still want to grow.
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons. If you're not, it's such a cliche. I hate it, but it's so true. It's like, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
I don't want to grow super fast anymore. I think there's levels of growth that are healthy. But it's sure not being the biggest. I just shouldn't say I don't care. There's still a piece that is like, I can't, it's ingrained inside of me, right, wrong, or indifferent. So I'm trying to flush it out, but that's not it. Growing and building stuff. I mean, construction's a hard business. We don't make widgets that are consistent every day in a factory in a controlled environment that consumers want to buy, and I can just spend more money on marketing to sell more or drop the price or whatever. It goes on a roller coaster ride. Markets change. I mean, in our market in Seattle, there's offices are not being built right now. Multifamily, it's going, but it's barely dragging on. So, I mean, stuff's happening, but it's more of industrial and data centers. That's the hottest thing. So, I mean, we led in Seattle, we led the crane count in the US for
Crane City.
I don't know how many years. I mean, we were leading it because of the tech boom. We rode it. I mean, other parts of the nation just suffered recessions when we never did because of Amazon and Meta. And I mean, we're really fortunate. But now with people trying to get people in the office, it's offices in there. That's what we've basically done. So I said construction's hard just because of the ebb and the flow. So what do I want? I want a consistent workplace that people can build a great career, that they can grow from an apprentice to a journeyman to a foreman to a superintendent and come in the office if they want. And that is a hell of a lot harder than I would have ever thought it was, is creating a place where people are clear in their roles and they know how to grow, and there's constant training outside of whatever apprenticeship program you're in, union, non-union. That's probably my biggest desire, is to create a place that people like. It is a great place to work, and there would be a lot of people that would say it's not, that I haven't done that well. So, however long I run and own this company, that's my target right now, that I can truly say, and I can feel good about it. There's going to be people who are going to say stuff about me or the company that I can't control, and there's probably an element of truth in there. How much of the truth, who knows? But I want to be able to say that, man, I would want to work for that company if I went and applied there. So that's the thing that I'm striving for more than ever. And I think out of that, now, had I focused on that from the beginning, I think we would probably be as big or bigger than we are now. Because when you do something that people love, they want to continue to make it better, make themselves better. And so it creates growth. And I mean, we both grew up and we're taught under the same tutelage, as like, out of the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks. Like, everything flows out of that. Why didn't I think that the same way about building people, that they would build and create a company that grows? So I don't know. I was more outward focused and ignored that it's got to come from the people, from the inside. And over time, you can't help. That's going to billow up and out. And that's my focus now. That's what I want.
So yeah, like I mentioned before, I've known you for some time now, and I've definitely seen tons of change in you and your demeanor and all that sort of stuff. I think the biggest piece is just like a lot more like peace and serenity.
Yeah.
Despite and it's interesting because there's a definition of joy. It's like joy regardless of the situation. Like, you can still be joyful regardless of, hey, my life is falling apart, but maybe not that extreme.
Yeah.
But it's regardless of circumstance. And I feel like I've seen that and noticed that even our last conversation is just like, feels like you kind of just like you just exhaled. It's like, oh wow, this Rob sounds very different. So I'm curious, like, in your own leadership style, let's say, like, because it's 22 years in business. If we were to like group like year, like I said, 1 through 10, and then let's say 10 through 15, 15 to now, how has your leadership style, communication, all that sort of stuff evolved that you can reflect on, like, hey, this specific instance, something changed in you as a result of just being in the trenches?
Yeah. I don't know, maybe a specific instance will come to me. I can think of one specific instance with my daughter, my God, that I'll never forget. But I would say the evolution, I mean, growing up the way that I grew up, it was command and demand. There was one way, it was Bobby Scott's way. That was it. And it's like a kid who grows up in a family that's full of alcoholics. You can hate the alcoholic. You cannot want to be like him, but unless you choose what to be like, you're probably going to end up like him. So I didn't like the behavior. I didn't want to have that behavior, but I don't know, with everything some things I did so well, I never thought about, look, this is how I want to talk to people. This is how I want to lead people. So what happens? I just fell right into that same, I don't know how many years. It was command and demand. And then I started to morph a little bit, but I think I went too much from this is the way it's going to be to more, let's have everyone have a say and make a decision and do it, instead of, I probably went more laissez-faire of, it's like hands off. Like, instead of telling you what to do, I just went, yeah, you do it. you're smart. Why don't you come up with a way? And we just pendulumed, and it caused a lot of bad root behaviors at the company that were ingrained in the foundation because we were so small at the beginning that I'd say in the last 4 years, we've reaped the negative results from that we've had to undo.
From the overcorrection. And just letting things, when you're so young and you let the wrong people in, that aren't bad people. They're great people. I just didn't lead well. And I let things, systems and processes take root that weren't done the way that I wanted to. But it wasn't anyone's fault but my own. I didn't really know how to talk through, because like it was either my way, this is how we're going to do it, or yeah, you go do it, you're smart. Because I wasn't able to have a conversation about, like, hey, let's talk through, like, how do we think, what's a good way? And you'd say something like, I don't like that. Is there another way to do it? And figuring out how to collaborate or know when to assert myself. No, I think we need to do it this way because of this, and have confidence in that. So I went from, way too hands off, and that wasn't good. So what's the balance for you in that? So like you mentioned, you were like, whatever, it went from whatever. Does anybody call you Robbie or no?
My cousins.
Okay.
And my siblings.
Okay.
Sometimes, but my cousins, yeah.
Well, just for sake of, you saying what Bobby Scott says, it went from that to what Robbie Scott says has got to go. So like from that to the, hey, it sounds like it just went more like authoritarian to like more democratic, everybody, all these sort of things. And then like, and the reality is like, I don't have any judgment towards either or, because if it works for their company, by all means do it. But I'm curious, what is the balance now for you, having been on both sides of the spectrum? What's the, maybe not perfect, but what's the working recipe for Scott Coatings and for Rob?
I would say, I think part of the course correction was 4 years ago, I started working with a coach from FMI. And I think it was right before COVID locked everything down, or right after. Maybe it was right after, probably. So 4 years ago. And everyone was talking about like work from home was more of a thing. Like companies were doing it before, but it became something now everyone not only was talking about, you had to talk about and address. So I was talking with him about it a lot, and I just like, well, what are other people at FMI doing just in the construction industry alone? And he said something, because it was probably a year and a half now after people were like saying, putting policies in place. And he said, we can talk about what people are doing or aren't doing. He goes, that really doesn't make a difference. He goes, I can tell you what works. And so I expect him to say, it's like, 100% in the office, or 100% work from home, or 100% hybrid. He said, what works is leaders are decisive, and they say, this is the way it's going to be. And take it or leave it. And their culture is built around it. And so he goes, it's not that any one of those three is right or wrong. It's what is the company's philosophy, and why are we choosing this pathway, and then finding people who want to be a part of it. And so I think for me, that was a big moment. It's like, well, okay, who am I? Like, Pete Carroll's book, I can't think of the name of it now.
The leadership one?
Oh yeah, the leadership one. He wrote before he was a Seahawks coach. And I want to say he was like 55 when he wrote it. And he wrote it as just a way of self-reflection. Like, what kind of coach am I? Like, I've worked he worked for so many great Super Bowl teams. He won a ring with USC, and he won Super Bowl rings with other places before, but he's like, I've always been with so many teams, and I've adopted, like, this is what this coach did, and this is what this coach did. But who's Pete Carroll? What's his philosophy? And I'm like, man, I've been doing this a long time, but what is Rob Scott's philosophy? Like, and so like that FMI guy was like, as we were talking through this, he's like, how about you not listen to a podcast? How about you not listen to it or read a book? Like, just take a year off. And I want you to reflect of like, who are you? What do you want? How are you going to lead this company? What is the right way? If you want to be a part of this company, He goes, I'm assuming you do because you're here, Rob. And I'm like, yeah, I want to keep doing this. He goes, you're going to have to figure that out. And so it's, who am I? What am I evolving into, and what I want to be better at? And I want to be an empathetic leader that's always direct with kindness and always gives people the autonomy to make decisions within boundaries dependent upon their role and their permission level at the company. And I want to always trust and verify. And I don't think I've done 22 years. I've done pieces of those. I haven't put all those together in one pretty package. And so I'm trying to put all these together in a pretty package that does that well.
So like earlier on, growth was important for you. Obviously you had a different lens. You said be the biggest. It's still, you're still referring to growth now, but I'm curious. I want to go back to what the FMI individual told you is no podcast, no book. So you did that?
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
It was weird, man. Think about every time
just silence.
Every time that I'm on the road, I'm used to listening to a podcast or listening to a book on Audible. And now I'm going from, okay, well, what am I going to listen to? Okay, I'll listen to music, or I'll make a call, or I'll sit in silence and just be present with my own thoughts. And that was, now it doesn't seem so hard and scary, but it was like, okay, that's a lot. That's going to be, I've got a decent drive from here to my house every day, to and fro. It's like, that's going to be weird. What am I going to do? But it's good. It causes you to reflect and like, what happened today in that conversation? What happened in that meeting? Why didn't it go well? Or why did it go well? What do I want to do more of? What don't I want to do? When you take time and you sit with yourself, it's like, do I really like what I'm seeing? Like, what I'm hearing? And the days that you don't, it's like, well, why? Like,
yeah,
I got a chance. Like, I can't blame anyone. I got a chance to change and grow. So yeah.
It's interesting because I go on early morning walks every day because I sit in front of a computer all day and I'm like, I need to get steps in and just get some fresh air. And so I always I usually use that time for prayer, meditation, just kind of reflecting a little bit. And then I'll go into some sort of podcast or something. And it's funny, one day I was leaving for a walk and my wife's like, you don't have to take your headphones every time.
Yeah, thanks, honey.
and at first I'm like, But my thing is, like, I remember one time I left and I'm like, because like I said, I'll pray first and then I'll put my headphones in and I'm like, oh yeah, where are they at? And so what do I end up doing? I would love to be able to tell you the story that, I just ended up just reflecting on all sort of stuff. No, I ended up grabbing my phone, putting it on loud and put it in my pocket right here. But fast forward, eventually I did actually sit in silence and just kind of let my thoughts just kind of run. And I just realized I'm like, I have a lot of noise in my life. Like I'm constantly consuming stuff, seeing stuff and all this sort of things. And there was just no space for just some sort of reprieve from all that. And so I'm curious, like now you working your way back, you take a year off and whatever that looks like, what do those habits look like now? And are you still able to create time for like space to just think and just kind of be like, hey, I have no agenda. We'll see where this goes.
Yeah. I feel like I've been working this last 2 years. I worked more than I have in years. But taking time and sit and think, it's real. When there is a lot of noise, it's hard to even know yourself and to sit and think about what's working, what's not working, whether it's in your marriage, with your kids, with work, in relationships. So now it's most of the drive home. And I don't know, someone told me years ago when I first became a dad, my drive wasn't that long. I don't know, it was 5 minutes when we first started our company from our office to our house. And it's gotten progressively longer, but like have that be a time that you transition from work mode to be dad or father. And I don't even think I've done that. I didn't ever do that well until the last 2 years. And so that's probably my biggest time to sit with just the noise in my head. Like, where do I place this? What do I let go? What do I need to chew on? What do I need to work out and get some traction on? What do I need to throw out and block out? Because there's just so much noise, whether it's a customer or a mentor, and to even like people that love you. It's like looking at the monitor right now, like all the different nozzles you can turn up or down. It's like, which ones do you need to dim down or shut off? And some of them for good, or some of them for a season. And that's when you can sit and ponder those things. It becomes, you're able to get clarity on that. And pain helps too, Jonathan. When you go through really, really crappy season of life.
Pain's a good teacher.
Well, it can be.
Can be.
It can make you hard too, and pissed off at a lot of people. That really gets you nowhere fast. You might as well just sit and realize that you got yourself here. So, yeah.
In 22 years, has there been a moment, and if so, like what season is that where you're just like, what the heck is going on? Like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. There's been probably, I mean, there's been a lot of seasons that I've said that and didn't know what to do. And probably one of my greatest attributes is if I don't know, I'm fine saying I don't know. And I've built a great network of people, professionally, personally, like, hey, you got any ideas of where to go or who to ask? And I've always been able to find a person to help, or a person to hire or consult with to help answer those questions. The ones that have a tangible, tactile answer. But then the questions that, probably the biggest one for me, before we started the convention center, I remember talking to my wife. I was like, I don't like our company right now. I don't like going to work. And the question that I didn't know how to answer at the time, I didn't answer. I avoided it. But the great thing about life and the crappy thing about life is when you avoid something, it's not if, it's gonna surface.
Yep.
And probably the real bummer part is it surfaces in the most inopportune time. And I thought I could hire my way out of it. And like, it's like I've never dealt with like inferiority complex, or like, I don't know what to do. Like, until 5 years ago, I was like, man, maybe I have no idea what I'm doing. There's got to be someone out there that's smarter than me that has an answer to this. So I went out and hired a lot of people, big positions, big bucks. But it goes back to what my consultant with FMI said, that I didn't have conviction for myself. Who is this company? Where are we going? That's my job as a leader. My number one job is, this is where we're going, and this is who we are, and the guidelines of which we're going to build.
Vision and culture.
Yeah. And I allowed that to get so skewed. I mean, we had so many voices, and I abdicated that responsibility because I just felt like there's got to be someone that knows how to do this better than me. And because I wasn't willing to deal with it, and I hired all these quote unquote experts to figure it out for me. When you bring a lot of voices to a party and there's no guiding principle, man, it can make a mess. And it did. And the real bummer part about it is I was talking to a gentleman that I've known for a lot of years, and he's just been a consistent voice. And I wish I had asked him the question back then. But you know what? In retrospect, even if I had have and he had said the same thing, I might have been like, yeah, right. You've been there, done that. That's what you're saying now. But he's like, Rob, it's what you didn't know how to do then and what you're doing now. The only reason it's working and you're doing it is because you're just doing the hard thing. There's no expert that is going to do it for you. There's people you could hire, consult, whatever. They can guide you.
Yep.
But the hard work you're doing is just hard and messy because it's hard and messy. So yeah, I've had plenty of moments of doubt, but probably the biggest one I avoided and did really wrong until I didn't have a choice, but to either think, man, Scott Coatings is going to make it, or I can make sure it makes it.
Mm-hmm.
And I might as well figure it out now. And had I done it 6-7 years ago, I would have had a lot more money and a lot more coffers to figure it out with a lot more ease than the last couple of years have been.
So you alluded earlier that the past 2 years have been super tough and hard.
Yeah.
What have you been doing? Like, what have you, like, so it sounds like eventually you had this realization, all that sort of things. Okay, I need to just start. Like, what was the first few moves that you made in order to start, like, getting the pendulum to go, like, hey, I don't know what's going on. We need to start. What'd you do?
Yeah. Well, some of it is what I did, and some of it was what I didn't do that I probably should have done years ago that people did for me. When things start going wrong, you get a really quick and sobering moment of, you better put your hands on the rudder or the steering wheel of the ship and take control. And as I did that, some people didn't like the way it was. And when you're in a storm, there is a time. My psychologist reminds me, is there's time to be a commanding, demanding. There's time to be collaborative. There's times to be like, give everyone more autonomy. And during a storm, it's like, take the steering wheel and you gotta steer. And like, we're doing this and we're doing that. And as I started doing that, a lot of people didn't like that. So people left willingly, and I helped people leave. And that's been good, of getting back to, like, what is this role supposed to do instead of what the role was doing. And then every role was doing differently. And I allowed that. Like, that's not everyone should run a project a different way. I mean, I knew enough doing this industry, and I've talked to enough people, and F&I will say is there is a way. Again, it's not a way to do project management per se, but it's a way a company, like every company should have project managers run a project the same way. Every month, where you set up a job the same way, you run it with monthly WIP and job costs the same way, and you close out the job the same way. And we weren't doing that. And that creates problems. Standards, systems, processes. So I've been putting all that in place. And it's been hard, but it also makes it fun to see, like, at this new size, when we were a lot smaller, you could get away with a lot of things. And volume covers a multitude of sins. And when volume...
Where's that in the Bible? Where
disappears, man.
It's in the construction Bible.
Right? Volume, it does. Volume and cash flow can cover a lot of cracks in the foundation, a lot of issues.
Because it sounds like you were just throwing money at stuff.
Yeah. Throwing money at everything. Hire more people. Everyone say they're too stressed out, too busy. They need more help. Okay, let's hire another person. Let's hire another of this or another of that. Let's just get another software to solve the problem. Well, that's just, it's completely ignorant. And
software doesn't solve all your problems?
No, it makes it worse. It makes it worse. And I mean, it's easy to, like, you hear people say that, like, if you don't have the discipline to do it with a pen and a paper or Excel or Word, that is a pain because it doesn't have automations. You shouldn't hire software if you don't have the process down to do it, because it's not that software can make everything better, but there's a discipline in place that has to be there. It's like, well, how do we do this? And if you don't know how to do it and I don't know how to do it, we both do it a different way, and so does the person next to us, software is going to make it worse. Whether it's Procore or you name it, all the different tools out there. The thing about them is there's so many ways to do a time card, do a daily report, do this or that. And you've got to set up the permission structure per role to be able to do that. And as soon as you start to do that, people get pissed. It's like, well, I want this. I've been here for a long time. Well, just because you always did that doesn't mean it was right. And you got to figure out those permissions and reporting structures before the software gets in place. And I did it 100% wrong. So I can tell you it doesn't work. You got to get all those disciplines in place. But when you're growing really fast, you do stupid stuff. And there's people a lot smarter than me that have done it really smart over the years and that don't have tons of software in place. And it's amazing how smooth they run. And when they bring on software, it's probably going to make their life that much better in some ways because they have the disciplines in place.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I also see that too in marketing or copywriting. Like I've written thousands of posts manually myself. And now like, you know, people are doing AI and stuff like that. And it's not like a bad thing, but for me right away, I can tell like, okay, yep, I could see it. And I think it's a great tool. Even for me, I use it. Yeah. But the thing is, I have the intimate knowledge of like what good copy is, what it takes. I don't just say, hey, create this post. I have like a long sort of thing and I'm feeding it and then it produces something good. Now I still have, it's interesting because I have some friends from Microsoft and they're like, you have to know, like this guy told me last week, he's like, the 25 years of experience I have in this industry, like there's people who use AI, specifically like ChatGPT and code and things like that, and they don't spot those little mistakes that will cause a ripple effect into everything else. He's like, for me, I have it help me, and then I'm like, okay, cool. Well, why did you give me this? Oh, and then eventually I realized, oh, hey, I'm sorry, you're right, that was wrong. But the only way you can see that is if you have a trained eye. And so I'm sure it's the same thing as like if you don't have an idea of what your structure is or the rhyme or reason why you do this the way you do, and you feed it into something, it's likely going to give you something. And especially too, like you mentioned, different people having input or different approaches to it, it just creates chaos and muddies the water.
Yeah, that's an understatement. I think we have 12 SharePoint sites right now that are just full of files and files and files. And the best thing about the cloud is you can keep paying for more data storage. And people don't really think about it until they look at the monthly fee and it just keeps going up. And it's not like that's a make it or break it deal, but what happens now, you just have stuff everywhere.
Yep. And
we looked, and I think we have 19 vehicle lists. 19. Like, which one's the right one? Well, I know which one's the right one now, but it's like
hold
19. On. 19 vehicle lists because...
Not vehicles, vehicle lists.
Lists.
Oh,
because someone wanted someone to track which foreman had this vehicle. Another one was the asset vehicle for depreciation for accounting. Another one was for tracking someone else for the warehouse. And so everyone just kept making... There wasn't a discipline in place. Like, hey, I need this. They would just do it. And so much of it is like, people aren't... I fundamentally believe people are good for the most part. And people want to do the best.
Yep.
And they want to do the right thing if you get good people. And we've had really, really good people over the years. But really, really good people with really, really good intentions can really, really mess something up if there's not structure and process in place. And I can tell you with 19 lists, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, it's like it's painful to remodel. It's like going into a hoarder's house and you can't do anything until you clean out all the piles and piles of just it's too much. So yeah, it's not fun. And it makes you rethink like, what in the world? How did we get here? But
so you start changing personnel, that's what you said.
Yeah.
Higher levels, maybe even intermediate, more, just levels across the board. Sounds like you kind of reeled in software to kind of figure, hey, what the heck are we going to, like, what makes sense? And then I think even before that, it sounds like you're like also cleaning up processes and organization, file management, all that sort of stuff. Is there anything else, like any other levers that you're like, okay, this is kind of the next thing that, you're going to begin to clean up or address to to hopefully create a well-oiled machine?
Yeah. Getting rid of software too.
Oh, getting rid of software.
Yeah. And it's not even a change we'll make in software this coming year in 26 when the renewal's up is like $60,000 a year. And it's not even because of the dollar amount itself. It's because like some people are Microsoft World fans or Google fans. It really doesn't matter. They both can do very similar things. But what we found is we're paying all this money and permission structure wasn't set up right. But then as a specialty subcontractor, just because the GC uses it doesn't mean it's right for us as a specialty subcontractor. And there's so many inputs and outputs that if they don't work, it literally makes the PMs, the supers, everyone's life progressively harder because you have to do documentation. There's change order request. And we started paying this money for this tool, and it's like, it doesn't work for us. And I spent a whole year like really learning, paying for, like, that's the thing people do. You have the fee that you get paid, which is the low entry point. To get it to really work, where they make all their money is in consulting. Oh, I can help you do anything you want. So I started paying all this consulting money to figure out like how to get to do this, and just to find out, it's like, it doesn't work for subs. It's not for us.
And it was on your dime.
It's on my dime. So then that just makes you rethink. I'm like, okay, well, I'm storing all this stuff in a folder structure in SharePoint. Can I do automations? And then between, ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, which we've paid for everyone to have a license for Copilot here, you can start doing a lot of things to stop the 19 vehicle lists. And so then we hired a consultant, and this time I did it right. Instead of hiring a consultant to do something for me, I said, I want to do something and I don't know what it is. And I need you to, and I'm willing to pay for it. Just spend time talking through. Some of it I'm going to do myself because I feel totally comfortable doing it myself and with a few people here. And some of it I'm going to need you to do because I can't get there as fast as I want. But I just want you to do discovery with me for however long it takes until I know what I want to build and if it's the right thing. And at the end, maybe we don't work together, but you help me go on a journey that I figured out, and I need to pay you along the way, and that's fine.
Interesting.
And that's what we've done.
So what you're saying is in the past, you said hey, I'm trying to solve X problem to get Y result. Like, okay, I'm just going to hire you to do this for me. Okay, cool. Let's go through the whole process. Like, okay, well, this actually doesn't work. And you just end up spending all that money. Now you're like, I don't know what I want or need. I don't know what it looks like. I'm paying you to go on this. That's what you're saying.
Yep.
And what was the outcome?
We've got a structure now that we know the confines of what we want to build and how the workflow is going to work at the company. And then it's just which one is the first thing that we want to do. And that's why I'm talking about the 19 vehicle list, because it was SharePoint lists have been around forever. Ever. Didn't even know anything about that. Didn't know anything about metadata. Now I'm like a metadata nerd, a beginner metadata nerd. But it's just powerful when you can create one list that lives in the accounting folder. Like, this is the vehicle list. That's the source of truth, because vehicles have a depreciation schedule and when you bought the vehicle, whatever. But then you can build upon that. If someone needs to know the vehicle list, like we track our good to go passes, or we track which foremen have a vehicle, instead of another person making their own vehicle list, let's make the list that we have with all of our assets on it just give you access to the vehicle piece. And you build another list from that. So we always know the source of truth now. And so we're starting to look at that everywhere. Like, how do we do that so we can build structurally that's sound going forward? And then if we ever need to remodel something, take something away, we know where to go. Where do I go that's the root source of truth for this thing that we did? And we're not there everywhere, but we do know the box that we're building and the reports that we want. So people can have metrics. They know if they're performing. They know if they're doing well or where they're not doing well. Because again, fundamentally, I believe people want to do good. And if they're not, it's my job to show them what they're not doing good so I can help them. Not use it as a bully stick. And it's hard because I've always wanted data and I've always wanted people to know. But probably something I didn't do well when reports did come out. It was like, it was inconsistent, and we talk about a job that wasn't doing good, and we didn't get enough chance to talk about the stuff that did do good because the reports weren't consistent for each role, for each person, the same data week over week, or if they were, it was inconsistent because the data wasn't flowing correctly. So now I don't ever want anyone to feel like data is a bully stick. Data is data. It has no feelings about you or me. It's just
what
facts.
it is.
But I got to make sure, thus the box that I'm talking about, the structure, it's got to be sound, that data is always flowing and it's always accurate, that people don't question it. It's got to be sound. So then we can build dashboards and stuff to show people results, good, bad, or whatever it is, so to help them and to know if that role is right for them, or did an estimator make a mistake, a PM make a mistake, a field person make a mistake, or is there a problem that needs to be addressed? It's that data is going to tell us truth. So I'm excited about that. Finally getting to, I feel like I've hit the ground floor of our remodel, and we have something to build off of. Yeah. It only took me 22 years to get here, but
but hey, but better than 23.
Yeah, right.
Or it's so. These consultants, are these consultants like thousands or tens of thousands, or how does?
Yeah, thousands right now, and it could grow to a lot more. But I mean, that is one thing that's cool about this moment of time. I mean, Google just released a new whole set they put free to the whole world if you just go online. I mean, we don't use Google products, but
come on, Rob.
Yeah, I know.
Google products.
I hear that from everyone. But Microsoft, they don't have a choice but to catch up.
Yep.
It's like we use Microsoft Forms. I mean, I've paid for the whole suite: Power BI, Power Automate, Forms, and even the free versions can do a lot. But between that and Copilot, it's amazing how much you can actually learn and be able to do really fast. And YouTube.
Yep.
So between that, I think that's helped me learn the right questions to ask. So when someone's telling me, like, I thought I wanted to do this, and then they showed me this, and it's easy to get sold when you don't know, because people are showing you a solution that is in a box that makes sense in their head, but you don't know if it's going to work for you and the way that you do business. And now I know to ask the questions to say, hey, does it do this? And does it do this? And can I get data to everywhere from one source, or whatever it may be? But instead of just looking for a solution to fix my problem, I got to know what my problem is and understand it.
Yep.
And maybe I don't have the answer, but I know my issues to be able to talk to someone about, so I can make sure I seek the right solution, or at least get on a path to get the right solution.
Yep. And the reason I ask about the price is not so much to say, hey, this is how much it costs. Is you're probably saving people thousands of dollars by what you said, because you're like, hey, like, don't go asking for this. Be open, saying, I don't know where I want to go. Tell me, like, let's walk through this journey. I think that's incredibly wise. The thing I was going to say, though, too, is like, you're also familiar with tech.
Yeah. And that's been it. And Pipe Software is actually doing a whole lot more. We've re-engaged. Do
you want to explain for the listeners what Pipe is, and then we can,
So Pipe is a forecasting tool for us. When we were, I don't know how many years ago, we started building more and more spreadsheets. I'm decent at Excel, and the spreadsheets just became crazy. Like, how much volume are we going to have? How many hours of manpower are we going to have? Because you could peaks and spikes for anyone in the construction industry. You got to know if you have enough people to man the jobs. Can I say yes to this project? Yep. So we started doing forecasting everything. And the spreadsheets became so onerous that it would just take a long time for it to populate, because this spreadsheet was connected to this sheet, and sources of data. And I probably should have learned how to code or to use like SQL database back then. But a buddy was a brilliant tech guy, sold a company, and we got talking, hey, why don't we turn this into something? And we did. And at the time, like, I had started selling it. We almost raised money. That's part of my journey. It's probably why I ended up having some challenges at Scott Coatings because you got to focus on one thing. Life throws you curves. His life threw him a curve. My life threw a curve, and we parted ways. And pipe really didn't go anywhere outside of Scott Coatings, but we continued to build the software and use it. Like, it is our source of truth that feeds our accounting. We use Sage Intact. That is our source of truth for all of our people and our projects. So it's only continued to evolve. And that is going to be like the feeder, building Power BI connections between Pipe and Sage and our other stuff that we're building. So yeah, it's becoming fun again.
That's awesome. So like, yeah. So the reason I'm going to ask this next question comes from like, hey, I'm not just asking a contractor what his thoughts are on the construction technology or software engineer, industry, but I'm asking somebody who's obviously built their own software, has been, iterating and obviously trying to make it work for you. Cause like, hey, if it works for us, and this can probably work for other, cause like you mentioned before, just because your GC uses this software doesn't mean it's going to work for you. You're a very different, it's a different sort of setup. So I'm curious to see, what are your general thoughts on, and I'm sure you see them on LinkedIn. I mean, I see them all on LinkedIn all the time. This new context startup, this one over here, this one over here. Like, I'm just curious, like, do you have any opinion, or are you just like, oh, this is cool? Or I'm just curious to see what you think from what you see.
Oh, I have a lot of thoughts about that. What is really fascinating about all the construction software that's happening a lot more. I mean, there's just a lot of money. And because AI has helped things iterate so fast, you can try a lot of things. And there's a lot of really good construction technology. But it's really interesting watching construction technology now versus 10, 15 years ago. Construction technology was trying to solve this problem. We are the project management tool that can do everything for you. Mm-hmm. Now it's so interesting that you have so many companies that are doing a finite piece.
Yep.
One of the guys I love to follow, and his name is escaping me right now. They're building a tool for managing holes and scope gaps for contractors to give their subs. And it's so fascinating because I get why he's doing what he's doing. Because every job that you come out is like, there's always a gap, especially when an architect or an owner gives an architect this amount of money to build the whole scope, and you can't think of anything. They're copying and pasting pieces from specifications that really don't apply to the project. But that's cool to see that people are actually trying to solve the problem that's so specific to the industry. And they can do it now because software can talk to each other. Because of cloud computing, they can have APIs that talk to each other. So that's really cool. In terms of the big behemoths of the construction industry, I don't know. It's going to be interesting watching them evolve over the years. They're big. They have lots of money. They'll be around for a while. But are they going to just continue to buy up all the smaller startups and figure out a way to integrate them really haphazardly in a way that makes it really hard for the subs? I don't know. There's got to be an answer. I mean, it's a general contractor, the way their fee structure works, they can have a whole army of people in their office working on tools. You can have the person that in their office is the source of truth for this tool set within their project management software, and a person that's at this tool set within their project management software to help everyone. Subs fee structure isn't like that. I mean, you got to be pretty big to be able to do that. And that's not easy. So that's why I think these smaller construction tech companies are going to have they'll get a lot of attention and they'll get a lot of traction if they stay focused on solving a slice of the pie and do it really, really well.
Until one of the behemoths comes and says, hey, I want to buy you out.
Mm-hmm.
Have you used software that eventually got acquired by?
Yeah.
And what was that experience like?
We used, and I don't remember his name right now, Labor Chart. I wasn't one of the first. We were pretty close though. When I talked to the founder of the cell phone,
Hmm.
it was awesome. It solved the problem and they did exceptionally well. And they got bought out by Procore.
Hmm.
And we were already with Procore. We were using State Labor Chart. They've integrated it. And everything that was on his roadmap that he was going to do, it all went away. And that's a bummer. That's what happens. It just gets, it's not that what he was going to do was bad. It doesn't fit into where the company's going, and they have to stop it. And that's a bummer. And now the tool isn't as good, and we're using another tool. There's 2 foremen that are already using another tool that's way better and way easier to use, and is solving the problems that Labor Chart was doing when we first adopted it. And I'm doing this one way different. We didn't say, everyone, hey, tomorrow you're all using this. We're testing it out with a few people, working out the kinks, writing out the process, and then we'll slowly move everyone there a couple months before the renewal. So then we got time to work out all the kinks. 22 years of pain. I finally realized it's probably a good way to do this, to get people excited about change or good at transitioning to change.
So like specifically with like the painting, trade, finishing trade, the barriers to become a painter are pretty low. Like, and so I'm curious to see, like, specifically from a technology standpoint, has there been like a gap? Like what's the learning curve for a foreman or someone who, to use this software, and not just use it, but use it well? Like what's that process been like?
It was relatively easier up until relatively easy up to till 6, 7 years ago, because when you're a smaller company, it's hard to get the really, really experienced talent until you start doing bigger jobs, get notoriety, and you can pay what the really experienced people want. So that means we're probably hiring younger people that are easier and more adaptable to learning new tech. So I think we're, just because we were a newer company compared to a lot of our competitors, had younger people, we're way ahead of the tech curve than anyone in our industry. Maybe not in other states, but as far as I'm aware of, I think we're ahead of the tech curve. I'd say probably even just most subs in general. It's really hard though when you get really good. We have a couple great foremen right now that are used to doing time cards on paper, doing daily reports on paper, doing film thickness checks on paper. And this is where I've grown. It's not this way or this way. It's find the middle. And so it's okay. You can do it that way, because I don't want to make this person feel like they're incompetent because they literally can't do it even after sitting there and trying to figure it out. Do I want to push them out? It's like, okay, no, we got to do this because the job requires it to be this way. We got to submit it this way. But let's have a lead help you out. So yeah, it's still an industry challenge to get people that aren't familiar, and they'll tell you all the reasons why the construction tech sucks, even if it doesn't, just to cover up their own pride or ego because they're too embarrassed. And it's hard. I mean, I feel like I'm really good at tech. And the other day, I don't know what the app was that updated. And I asked my daughter, I was like, what in the world? I could not figure out how to make this thing work that I knew was just there. She's like, oh, just do this. I'm like, oh, there you go. So it's embarrassing. And I feel like I'm really good at it. So there's a lot of people who still aren't, and they're never going to be. And so why would I give them brain damage in the last 5 years of their career, force them in a box that is going to make them want to quit or just shrink back. I need them. I need their experience. Let's have someone help them.
So staying on the topic for like field, I want to talk about like field leadership. So like, I'm sure you've had different leaders, you know, whether it's superintendents, general supers, you know, different roles who like oversee the field. For you, kind of like going back to a similar question I asked you before, what is the right field leadership for Scott Coatings? Like, what's the type of leader that does really well, and what have you learned throughout the process to figure out who that leader is?
Yeah, that gave me goosebumps. Why? The thought when you said that. Keaton Turner, you follow his podcast, stuff that he posts. I think he's cool. Never met the guy. But he said something that pissed a lot of people off at his company that I have said forever. And it pissed a lot of people off who aren't here anymore. And I found out how much it pissed them off when they left and talked trash about me. It's like, Rob doesn't care about the office people. He only cares about the field people. And I'm like, well, I do care about the office people. I'm in here with you, and you have a lot of cool stuff that the field doesn't have. Mm-hmm. They don't have a mocha machine. They don't have a beer tap. So what do you mean I care about? I don't care about.
They don't always have a heater.
Yeah, they don't have AC. They don't have a chair that can recline, a desk that can go up and down with ergonomic keyboard and all this kind of stuff. So what do you mean I don't care about you? But I think not the only reason, probably one of the main reasons we are still in business with ups and downs and all over the place is that I do care about the field first, because the only reason the office exists is to make sure the field kicks ass and makes our customer happy.
Yep.
If we're not doing things right to make their life easier in the environment they're working in, with the pressures they have every single day from the customer, the vendor, the other subs on the job site, the weather, we're pointless in the office. We have zero value.
Yeah, because you're not bringing money in, because nothing's getting done.
Nothing's getting done. We could have all the backlog in the world from tons of jobs we're bid perfectly. But if we're not giving it to them in a way that they can understand and report on and execute on, we're pointless. And somehow PMs and PEs and estimators think that their title means the field needs to do something to make their life easier. It's like, no, you have a bass backwards, man. Your job is to figure out how to take your box that you wanted in and make it easier for them. And if it means you need to do something different for them, then figure out what it is to do for them. Well, that's going to take me. I don't care. Then do it. I've seen you deal with problems and come up with these elaborate spreadsheets to make your life easier. So why don't you do it for them, for you? And it doesn't even matter who that rubs wrong anymore. And it's like going back to the Pete Carroll thing. It took him till, I don't know, 55 or 60 or whatever to write the book to figure out what he wants. It took me watching Keaton Turner on social media, on LinkedIn, to have conviction like, oh, I'm not bad. That the conviction that I had wasn't the bad part of me that I need to give up or I need to tone down. That's a part of me I need to elevate. Now, I need to be kind. People matter. Our accounting team matters. PMs matter. They all matter. But I never said they didn't matter. Maybe I just didn't do a good job reminding them why they matter. And being in the service industry, we're here to serve people.
Yep.
And we're not here to serve our customers first and foremost. We're here to serve our field, because our customers will not be happy if our field isn't happy and they don't know what to do. Our customers
but project management and estimating is crushing it. Like, we have the perfect blah, blah, but
it's the field they're messing up. They don't know. It's like, dude, no. So LinkedIn is such a powerful place for people to connect. And if people use it as a place to learn and watch people, like you said, authentic voices that aren't just using AI to pump out garbage all the time. It's like, no, there's people who are saying things that have learned through trial and error. And then it's when you find something like, no, this is who I am.
Yep.
You need to rock that. It doesn't mean you don't tone it down and soften it or do something, but sometimes it's like, no, make it sharper. Get more conviction about that thing, because that's your answer. That's your solution. That's going to be the piece that's magnetic. That's going to attract people to you. And yeah, our field, that's it. That is the centerpiece of who we are and what matters. And we need to make sure we do everything to serve them better. And before we get anything new for the office, we got to get a new blast pot for the field, because they need something better and powerful that looks cool too, or whatever it is. So yeah, if people don't want to come to work here because we are field focused, field first, everything, it's better. You're not going to waste your time being in an environment that's going to frustrate you.
Yep.
And I won't get frustrated with you either. So let's just know that we're not a right connection before you come. Like, the field is what matters. The office matters, but not first. It's like my kids. I got married to my wife because I love my wife. I love my kids. They matter. But if I don't do my marriage right, my kids aren't going to be amazing people that I want to be around. And I need to say no to them sometimes.
And eventually they're going to move on.
Your
wife's going to be with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I married her first, and I'm going to be with her last. Yep. So guys, she's first.
Yep.
You're all important, just not as important as mom.
How do you, like you saying, well, what about us? All these sort of things. To me, that's entitlement. It's like, okay, I deserve, or I earn, or all these. I'm curious. Have you, as a leader, learned how to like deal with entitlement when people are entitled? Like I guess, how do you? Is there a way to address it that's worked for you?
No, I don't know. I'm still figuring that one out. How to deal with entitlement. That's a hard one.
Because I assume you've seen it over 22 years.
Oh, I dealt with it this morning with someone that had left the office yesterday and frustrated with me. And I went back and talked to a few people. Did I do this right? What did I do wrong? And it's like, no, it came down to, literally use the words, it's like, they're entitled. They think their way is the only way, and we all need to bow to that way. It's like, wow. And it can creep. It's so easy just to creep in and and to allow it in. No, entitlement is just, it makes me sick. It does. It does. And I have to address it myself. Like, just because you're used to something and you go to a different place or someone else's house, is like, you need to be grateful.
Yeah.
And it's a constant reminder for anyone. But yeah, how to deal with entitlement with people, I'm still figuring that out, and how to address it with kindness and remind myself I want to be a direct but empathetic leader.
Yeah.
And that's easier said than done.
Yeah, no, for sure. And even for me, like, the reason I'm like, okay, that sounds like entitlement. There's a saying that says, if you spot it, you got it. I mean, I for sure likely. There are situations where, maybe not at work, but when my wife's like, it sounds like you think you deserve. I'm like, yeah, I think I do. So it makes sense. And so I think it's a part of the human condition. Yeah, for sure. 'Cause especially too when it's just selfishness. Honestly, it's just like, hey, just thinking about me, and then all sorts of stuff. But going back to the field piece though, because you mentioned that was your stance was like, hey, we're field first, all that sort of stuff. But going back to field leadership, what makes a good field lead? Like whether it's a general soup or field operation, like that, the individual who, in a sense, is setting the tone for the rest of the general foreman, journeyman, apprentice, all down the line. Like, what have you learned about what makes a strong field leader?
Yeah. Our general superintendent, I think there's a lot that he needs to grow in, and he'll never stop growing. And that's what I appreciate about him, especially as I'm talking about like creating structure that everything evolves around. It's causing him to have to change a lot, and he's doing it with grace and I appreciate that about him. I think what makes him so great, by far the best general superintendent we've ever had, is he walks in that humility. And I'm trying to think of a time that I'm like, dude, are you entitled? Do you think you deserve that? Like, I don't even know if I've ever had that thought about him, to be honest. He's probably, what frustrates me most about him is he's just slow to like make a decision. I'm quick to make a decision. It doesn't mean it's right. I'm just quick to make a decision. He's slow and needs time to process and think about it, but he does. He's very self-reflective, and he takes time to ponder something. And he's done that with taking a brand new apprentice who he found out didn't have a car, and he was frustrated that this individual was showing up late and had to leave early. Come to find out the person's taking a bus and working themselves out of a bad situation. And he ended up, I didn't know this, I found out with someone else, like, Juan, are you taking him home? It's like, yeah, they need help. He goes, someone helped me when I was in a bad situation, and I want to help them. I was like, oh, that was an extra hour and a half out of his evening doing it for a while. That to me is like the epitome of like serving. When you find ways to serve people, that needs to be modeled all the time. Seeing him on his nice black Dickies come back with paint on him because like, what were you doing? I was like, well, they got behind. They needed to help unload something real quick and clean up the pump or whatever. I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's not his job description. He doesn't have to do that, but he does that. But he does that in so many different ways. I mean, he's a great teacher, and taking time to build people. He is slow and patient, and a great teacher and a builder of people, from an apprentice to a lead to a journeyman to a foreman. I mean, he's done it over and over again. And he is the reason, just even with my conviction about the field and so many things I've done wrong, to not help the field by allowing different things in project management or estimating that I was aware of or unaware of. He has continued just to build a great field workforce, and it's awesome. And like I said, I don't even know if I'm sure if I thought long enough, maybe I could think of something, but nothing even comes to my mind. Like, he is the opposite of entitled, and I appreciate that about him.
So you said that, he's a little bit maybe more methodical, wants to think through his decisions before he makes them. And you say, hey, you just hit the ground running. I tend to be more of that camp. And I find myself in certain situations. My wife's like, hey, wait. I'm like, nope, I already did it. She's like, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, you're right. Now I have to, undo something. And so I'm curious to see, like, for you, is there anything that can help you stop? Like when you're like, okay, I need to make this. Is it your wife? Is it a mentor? Like who helps you kind of slow down and be like, okay, hey, Rob, slow down for a second.
Yeah. It's like, my wife I heard her talking to a few women, I don't know, years ago, about different things that they were monitoring or controlling their husbands on. And she's like, please, I'm never going to control that for Rob. If he wants to go make those dumb choices on his own, he can suffer the consequences. And I look back, I was like, wow, that really meant a lot. And it was like a burden. Like, okay, now I got to take control of these things and make sure they don't creep in and ruin my life. But on that thing, I'd never gotten control over, when do I stop, make a decision? When do I think and strategize? When do I loop people in? I did, but I just did whatever I really wanted to do. And really, at the end of the day, regardless of who I brought in, because I own the company and I run the company, I can do whatever I want. And people know that. And I had to take a step back and be like, you know what? The only person who can control this is you. You know your proclivities in different areas. And you know you like to try something new and just go and do it. Let's work it out along the way. And life sometimes can stop you for you and make you have to rethink the choices you make. And life did that for me. And I accepted the spanking, the spanking and the spanking and the spanking. And I was like, I'm getting spanked a lot in this area. And it's like, I probably needed it. And I was getting spanked for years. Oh. I just didn't, whatever. And now I'm like, okay, this is an area for me to be disciplined in. So now it's like, no, I can't roll this thing out. Like we've got a form that was built that automates. It's going to be awesome. And I've been talking to people about it. Hey, this is coming. But it's getting them ready for the change. That's going to be good. And they're going to see it and they're going to feel it. But I've been doing it for 2 months. Okay. And for the first month, it was just like, hey, would this work? How should it be set up? Like, oh no, it needs to be changed here. It needs to change here. And then I think I have the way. It's like, hey, I need to loop someone else in to make sure my thought process is right. Am I missing something? Okay, yeah, I'm missing this. It's like, all right, now I think we got it so it can serve everyone well. How are we going to do this? Let's make sure it's working. Okay, let's play with it. Yep, this works. Now what's a good time to roll it out? When can people receive it? So your question was like, what do I do to make sure that I'm not quick to make decisions? I would have said years ago, I was like, well, find good people who you can bounce off and stop you from doing it. I'm like, well, at the end of the day, I don't have to listen to them. I don't have to listen to anyone. I don't have to listen to you, my wife, anyone. I can say, screw you. Or I can say, okay to you. And in my heart, I'm like, whatever, I'm going to do it my way. And now I'm like, the only person who can control my outward expression, though may be right, but my heart that's going to say, no, I want this to, if I'm really trying to do something that serves people, my actions and how I think about this and the time that I present it and the time that I spend on something better all align. Or the time that I ignore something that I really want to do. I can get lost just spending countless hours on something and just playing with it because it's just fun and it is engaging in my brain. It's like, no, that's lack of discipline. You better focus on the right thing right now that needs your attention right now. That can be in playtime, but it's not right now. And actually playtime should be on this other thing that needs attention too. If you have extra time, then go do this thing. Like, oh, I don't want to do that thing. Well, that's the thing to do right now. So it's enough spankings. I finally realized like I need to pay attention to this area of my life that is producing in a way that I don't like it.
Yeah.
So
I feel like you have like the scaffolding or the structure for like a book called like ADHD leadership or something like that.
Right.
Like, how to lead, because and honestly, I think in general, I feel like there are majority of leaders out there, executives probably have ADHD because it's just this like motor that you just keep going. That's probably what ends up making things grow and stuff like that. The thing I was going to point out though is, so obviously I worked at Scott Coatings and I've gotten to know you, obviously over the years. We've had, different projects, iterations of projects, things like that we've done. One of the things that I feel like I've resonated a lot with you, and it's mainly because like I feel like my personality is very similar where like once you get going, like some people can listen to your tone and be like, oh, Rob's upset. For me, I'm like, nah, he's passionate. You're just, it's going through your veins, but some people may get scared off, by that. And so the reason I'm saying this is I'm curious to see, because obviously you mentioned when you with the leadership standpoint, you were initially maybe more authoritarian, then you like swing the other way. And so I'm curious, like, did your own personality also like go through like a season of like, well, I'm too loud, so I need to be quiet now, or like I need to be like, and then all of a sudden you're just like inside, you're just like fidgeting. You're like, oh, this isn't really who I am. So I'm just curious to see like how have you embraced who you are and your skill sets and qualities. And the reason I say that is I literally told my wife, because my wife's, will be in certain situations, she's like, hey, you spoke majority of the time there. I'm like, oh, I feel bad, all these sort of things. And one of the things I've learned to accept, I told my wife, and I'll tell people this, I'm like, hey, by the way, I talk a lot and I talk loud. It's just like it's not, my intention isn't to hijack all it, but once I get going and started, I'm just going to keep going. And I'm like, oh, wow, I feel really good. And everybody else is like, oh yeah, you just talked the whole time. So I'm curious, like, have you had to embrace qualities that you have that may like turn people off or like, I don't know, like, whether it's employees or clients or, I don't know, anybody that you interact with?
Yeah, I think yes. Still seeing a psychologist, unabashedly, unashamedly. Like I'll see a psychologist until I die, just because it's so helpful to get self-awareness. They're not trying to be my friend. They're there to pay, and they're paid to help me. And then really caring about connection with people more than ever. And I think I've become more in tune to just what I'm seeing off people and their reactions to me. And I don't think I was oblivious for that. It's like, I just was talking. It's like, dude, I'm in a flow. Like, yeah, let's keep going. And it's like, dude, read the room, bro. Like, oh, dude, this isn't. And the perfect example, we were over at Parents Weekend. We went out to breakfast, all the freshmen. There were 7 parents that took our boys out, and then a couple other people joined. And we were, especially when there's something like I'm so passionate about, like injuries in sports athletics are a really big deal that I could talk a lot, because my youngest daughter is just a really good gymnast, and her aunt was like the best. She was an All-American at UCLA. So I've watched this trajectory of injury and the pain of gymnast, and my sister-in-law and what it's done to her body. I mean, she is brilliant, and she is highly successful in her career. But I just watched this take a toll on her body now as 40. I was like, man, I'm watching this with my daughter. So something happened, and we were talking about this, and gymnastics came up, and I could feel myself like, oh God, I'm getting ready to bubble over. And people were talking, and someone's like, well, Tina, what do you think about this? And she said something. And it's like, well, Rob, what do you think as a dad? And I'm like, oh God. And in all my awareness, I started to talk, and then it was just like a train that got momentum. And I'm like, oh no, it's going. And it was good for a moment. Like I was saying things that people cared about, but then there reached a point where nobody cared anymore. And I could just see everyone, because no one was talking. They were listening to me, but all their body language turned. And I'm like, oh dude, I got to bring this thing into the train station. And I don't know how long it went. Tina laughed. We talked about it. She goes, you actually did I don't know, 30 seconds for a minute. Like the whole table was just like, I could have been talking to myself for all that mattered.
Yeah.
But I caught it. And I hope I'd continue to evolve and do a better job over that in environments where I can suck all the air out of the room. And it's not even because I just want to talk or people listen to me. I just get hyper going. I'm just so stoked, and I forget like there could be no one there. I'm just like, dude, this is awesome. And then I'm like, oh, this is a waste of time. I just lost everyone. So yes, I do that. I've become more aware of it, and I think I can feel myself. It's starting to happen. So as it starts to happen, take a deep breath. What do I want to say? Say it. Let it sink in. Do people care? If they do, maybe they'll ask a few more questions, but you're not the only one at the table. A lot of other people have really good thoughts. Even if it seems like it's something that could keep rolling, how about you let someone else talk about things on this subject or change the subjects? It's like, okay. I feel like I've finally become more aware that I can catch it when it's happening, and I can see it getting off the rails, and I can at least stop it. And I don't know, I went 30 seconds or a minute long, and Tina her and Tyson had a good laugh at my expense after we left the restaurant. But hey, I feel like to me, it's like, okay, that's it's so trivial, and it seems it's embarrassing almost to talk about it. Like this is things like teenagers learn as their parents teach them. It's like, okay, well, whatever. I turned 47 yesterday. Like that's where I'm at, and I'm proud of that. But I think to that point, part of what has helped me do that is learning how to channel that utter excitement or whatever into about things that I can just work on at whatever pace I want to. It doesn't matter who's around. I can get lost and play with it. and it has little consequences if I waste time. I'm going to stay up late and just tinker with this thing, and maybe it goes nowhere. But it didn't impact anyone except my own sleep that I was willing to give up because I had a great time doing it. And I'm either super excited and I can do more of it, or man, I'm really tired. But it was worth it, and it got that energy out that I needed to. That is my responsibility to channel instead of people listening to me talk loud or long. That I still do.
Yeah. Well, and that's funny because, you know, for me and my wife says this, she says this in private. She says it jokingly for sure. She's like, be careful, guys. Jonathan likes the sound of his own voice.
Oh, yeah.
And so then for me, I'm like, now, like when she says that, I embrace it now. I'm like, oh, I love the sound of my own voice.
Right.
And she's like, oh, whatever.
Tina has it was, I don't know how many years ago, 15 years ago, we're out to lunch with, he was our superintendent at the time. Now he's a vendor we use for wall covering, and I had braces. So it was him, my brother, and it's my brother's story that Tina always brings up because the way he makes fun of me, and then my kids all know the story, and then a PM who's no longer here. So there's 4 of us at lunch, and I'm talking, and my mouth is dry, and I can feel it, and I'm still talking, and all of a sudden, my braces catch my lip, and I can't talk. And my brother just starts ripping on me, just making funny. Like, that's what you do. You're just talking way too long. Of course, you're finally seized up. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so that's the story now people use at my expense. But it's funny. It's like, oh, it's true.
I'm glad you brought your brother up. I had I mean, I don't know the exact date, but it's over a decade that you've worked with your brother.
Yeah.
How in the heck did you make that work? Like I'm curious, what was the setup? Because I know that you had a rhyme and there was a thought process behind like, hey, if we work together, it sounds like you established some rules. So there's that. But then like, how in the heck are you guys still working together? And even too, like before this, like your brother's like joking, you know, he's like, hey, Rob, make sure you spit out your gum. Otherwise you're going to be just like chomping away on the mic. And so it seems like relationship's so good. Like, so what's the setup? How did you set it up? And then why do you think it's continued so long?
Yeah, man. I don't know. For those who work with families, it's like avoid it at all costs. And I say that 100% meaning it, because it can make the highs so good and it can make the lows really, really bad. And it's like, why are we still working together? There's days it's him and there's days it's me, and there's days just because we both are committed to doing this. And I will say at days I'm sure that he's wanted to commit or quit, or days I wanted to get rid of him. He has to continue to be willing to evolve and grow as a person and as a leader at this company. And so do I. And as he keeps doing that and I keep doing that, we have a chance to make this a great place and continue to work together and have it affect our being brothers in a positive way. And the day either of us stop that is the day that one of us shouldn't be working here, because we'll hurt each other, we'll hurt this place, and it will make us not want to be around each other as brothers. I mean, I'm the oldest of 4, and I feel really privileged that I like to be around my siblings. They're still my siblings. They still piss me off. We can get in the best of arguments like no one at a family trip, but every 2 years we go on a family trip with all of our spouses and our kids. My mom and dad pay for it. I mean, I'm really, really, really lucky that we like to be around each other. But yeah, I think there's some things we did really good to set it up at the beginning. Like I tried to make it so he wasn't reporting to me. But I think there's a lot of things we probably I didn't do really well either. And talking about that structure, and it's like not having clear parameters or a training program. Probably what we did best is his father-in-law worked for a huge a civil contractor, and then a really, really large civil contractor that got purchased. And then he went to work for what would become, they probably are one of the biggest demolition companies for sure in the nation. I don't know, beyond. And his father was a brilliant guy, went really high at this company, super highly successful company. And I got to know the COO, and my brother knows the CEO really well. And I know him, but not like my brother does. The COO and he's probably one of my most trusted mentors, a friend, and both Matt and I have submitted at a couple of times. Like, we went and talked to him. Like, we've had some good matches at the office. But beyond that, and we've tailored it well, but we went and talked to him, and Dave, we need our help. Like, this is the way I see it. And we were at gridlock. We could not move forward. And it just because my way was right, Matt's way was right, and we weren't willing to see bigger, or one of us was right and the other wasn't willing to concede. But having someone that we could go to, that we both trusted the path that he would lead us down beyond where we were at, has probably been the reason we're still working together and wanting to continue to grow as people, as leaders, and grow the company, because we have someone that we both trust has been highly successful in this industry, and trust his voice, his experience, and that he wants the best for both of us and the company. And that's been a huge, huge piece to our evolution as coworkers. We were on Sunday morning. We haven't done this in years. Well, since COVID, we stayed home and we watched a service. We did elevation service online, and Stephen Furtick's message was about just the messiness along the way. And he has so many people ask him, tell me your advice. How'd you get here? And he's like, I can talk in retrospect. I can tell you about the strategy and the plan and all this, but it's so true. In the middle of it, it's just a mess. And you look really brilliant in retrospect. Like, look at how we did this. And it's been a messy process with Matt and I, probably one of the messiest. There's some people who probably say, oh, you should have let Matt go a long time ago. Well, I probably should have fired myself a long time ago. And I would rather err on the side of giving people chances to continue to evolve if they have the right heart. If they don't, then they need to be gone, because you really can't fix people who do not give a rip about anything but themselves. But if you have that core of someone that they really want the best for the company, and their heart truly does, and they just got off for a moment of time, you got a lot to work with. And yeah, that's why he's here. That's why I'm still here. And it's hard. But it's like marriage. Like, my brother's always going to be my brother no matter what happens at Scott Coatings. Yep. And so I want to make sure that I mind that aspect of our relationship really good. But at the end of the day, we still have a job to do. Yep. And we have metrics to hit. And when things aren't going right, we got to ask, or do you not know what you're doing? Do you need training? Or I'm not doing a good job. And we got to fix it, because this isn't going right. Yep. And you're the one leading this right now. So something's got to change. So
here's something I'll say too, because especially in construction, I mean, you'll hear about family businesses all the time. And then I'm sure you've seen nepotism.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've seen it in churches. I've seen it in a lot of different places. It definitely exists. But it's interesting, when I was here, to me, especially to the way you interact with your brother, I mean, I'm sure maybe in private you follow up just about personal stuff. But honestly, for me, it felt like Matt was just a part of the team. He's just and obviously he's a critical piece, but he's just a guy, part of the team. And the other thing too is, and I'm not sure if this is like a, sort of Bobby Scott birthed work ethic, but this guy works his ass off. Like, he'd be here super early state. Like, he just basically do whatever it takes. And, it sounds like he's done some traveling too, to go over, down south and all these different things, just to do whatever it takes. And it's interesting because I don't know, like I said, I don't know if that's the Like, I'm curious to see from your thoughts, because obviously we know. I mean, for me, I can tell right away when nepotism is taking place. There's just, it's just a little, even if it's subtle, I can still tell it's a little different dynamic. Do you think? And like I said, it could be because of your dad's work ethic, but do you think there's also a piece, and it'd probably be best to just ask him, but I'm curious on your thoughts, that maybe for him working hard, he's also like, hey, I have to work twice as hard because my name is also Scott.
Yeah, 100%. I would say I've probably gone to the opposite extreme, not for the good of Matt, to make it harder and have him demand more of him because his last name is Scott and he is my brother, because he has caught so much flack, some deserved and a lot that's not. And I probably, it's like the whole pendulum thing. There's times where like I was too on this side or to this side instead of trying to find the middle ground and coach better or whatever, but his heart's always wanted the best. And he continues to grow and evolve. And his work ethic is, there's not many people. Yeah. My wife, my brother, and my brother-in-law is like, not many people can just continue to work until they would literally just like fall asleep. Like he'll do whatever needs to happen. And that's priceless. You can't, there's not an amount of money in the world that can buy that from someone. And so, yeah, I think that's part of what's ingrained in him. But it's hard too when you work with family. You come from the same DNA, good and bad. So my dad and my mom were horrible communicators. I mean, they came from my mom she's grown like the most passive person, quiet person. My dad was the most demanding and unkind person, and that creates a really bad dynamic. And that's what we both knew growing up. And it's hard he's been to the Gottman Institute a bunch of times, so have I. And so we both we want great marriages. We want to learn how to communicate. And it's hard to continue to grow and morph. Like the other day, last week, something happened. His best buddy died suddenly out of the blue.
Wow.
He was having a horrible moment. And I think it was 2 weeks ago now. So the next week or a couple of days, like he just was down, and I knew that. I'm trying to be sensitive to that. And he came in and he said something. I don't remember. We were talking for a minute, and I just asked him a question about something that he hadn't done. And he just sliced back about something that was so underhanded. But he was hurting. And I just like, oh, all right. And I just stopped. I was like, hey, we're just going to stop right there. And that was a moment for me, like, okay, I'm not gonna respond back. Because in times before, I'd be like, dude, you are tripping right now. It's like, no, he's in a painful moment.
Nope.
What he said, he's gonna regret. I didn't send him a Teams message. That wasn't a business correction. So I try to keep, like, for us, we use Teams and email. So it was like, this is a text, bro. Sorry that I didn't get you a card to let you know I'm sorry for you, but I've talked. I know you're going through a hard moment, but what you just did right there was inappropriate on many levels. Don't ever talk to me like that again. First, I'm your brother. And second, that was an inappropriate way to talk about me as your boss. And I looked at the text for a minute before I send it. I was like, am I sending this because I want to correct him because he was so rude to me? Or am I sending this because I love him and there needs to be correction because he is at work and people hurt him and it was inappropriate? It's like, no, I love him and he's hurting right now, but it was inappropriate. But I'm doing this out of a brother right now.
Yep.
So I text him. I don't know how long, 15 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes. He came in, closed the door. We talked through it, worked through it. And that was a good moment because, one, he's like, I'm sorry. That was wrong for me to respond the way that I did. Not only just respond away in the work way, but just, it wasn't right. I was I was defensive, and what you said was totally okay. And I think it was a good moment for us because it was huge maturity on both of our parts, but it was a way I think that work should be. We are humans. We do need to give people the allowance to be human. He had a really bad moment and a bad day and a bad week. But if you're going to show up at work, you better have self-awareness on the impact of when you open your mouth. If you say stuff wrong, it can really hurt people.
Yep.
And it could throw something way out of whack. And we got to know how to respond to that.
Yep.
And I was proud of myself, not just because my brother. I was like, no, I want to be aware of how I respond to people in hard situations, because you're never going to know what's going to happen. And I was like, boom, you passed the test, dude. And you loved your brother in a really not a horrible moment of his life that he's sad. And you also had a coaching moment. So yeah, back to the piece of that dynamic of we both grew up in a family that did not know how to communicate really well. So my whole pendulum of command and demand, two hands off, trying to find the middle ground. That's the journey that I'm on right now. Doing it with him. Hopefully we do it well as a company better. We model it better. And we coach. We coach better and teach people how to grow in their career, but it also means teaching them how to communicate. Someone from FMI just did something. Someone posted I don't remember he's a consultant in the construction industry. He lives down in Oregon. His name escapes me right now. He just did a post. He goes, basically he said, I think all personality tests that people do at work is pointless. And he went on this whole reason why he thought it was a complete waste of time and actually make things worse. And Scott Kiplin, another voice I think is brilliant for subs, and his venom towards GCs excites me sometimes, most of the time. He had a good comment about it. That he didn't say he affirmed what the guy said, but he goes, I agree if it's not used well. And another person popped on and made another comment just about how it's so true, and a challenge that I think I've faced in getting us to where we are at Scott Coatings is going back to the ADH team is like, or theme for me is like, I'm constantly wanting to do something new, the latest and greatest, and grow and change. And even in my marriage, like that's like, my wife doesn't always want to go to a new place, try this place or do this thing. It's like, dude, most people don't. Most people want to do the same thing over and over and over and over. And in work, our job is to create consistency that people know what to expect when they show up and do the same thing every day. And that's true. We need to do that. But also we need to be able to evolve and learn how to serve people better. But the point of that post that I thought was true, and I was talking to a person we're thinking about bringing on to help us grow, is I sent him that message and I said, this is exactly what you and I were talking about today. I do think that most people don't want to get better. They don't want to change. They don't want to take a personality test and learn about your personality because they don't care. Like, dude, I'm good at what I do. Leave me alone. Well, the way you are and the way I am and the way you are is very different. And what you need and the way you see the world, I got to communicate in a different way to help you see something, because I'm going to explain it in a way that makes sense to me, but you're not going to get it. And that would have infuriated me years past. Like, what is the point? And now I'm like, that's really good to know. Because I've been trying to create a place, because a person this gentleman that I was interviewing, we have a common connection that worked at a company that he was at 3. And they're like, yeah, Rob was always trying to have us read a book and put stuff in place. And the way it came across is like, he didn't really care. Nothing ever stuck. Had I heard that 3 years ago, I'd have been like, screw them. And now I'm like, you know what? Some things weren't me. It wasn't me. What I was doing, I really meant. Like, I was really saying, let's go somewhere on a journey, guys. Let's be better at this. Let's put this in place. But what I didn't realize, and I do now, is that people have to be willing to carry that torch themselves and continue to do it. I can't keep telling them day in and day out to be a better person. They have to want to grab it and do it for themselves. Most don't. So now I'm like, okay, I still believe I want to have a better place where we have structure, people know what to do, there's consistency, but the world's changing, technology's changing. We're learning new truths. There are different personality things that we can do, but it's not for everyone. Going to create a box. This is how we do it. This is how you succeed. This is how I succeed. This is how your role succeeds. And then just like I'm iterating and doing different things with automation, it's going to be with a few small people that they want to put it in place. And then they see it modeled. And someone's going to be like, can I join you guys doing that thing you're doing? Like, yeah, for sure. Come on in. And then that person joins. And now it catches on. But it is true. Like, you watch Clayco. I mean, I'm not in the inner workings of Clayco. But to be the size they are, the growth that they've had, they have a lot of people who've been there for a long time. And one of their core beliefs was innovation and leadership development. And when people stay at one place for a long time and that just continues to do, and people buy in and start carrying the torch by themselves, now it's just not the founder. It's a lot of people like, oh, I can go to this office or I can start this office. That's exciting. I've tried to build everyone instead of trying to build something really small that's excellent and wait to see if someone else wanted to pick up the torch. You can't grow excellence in the masses. You got to do it. Let it hibernate. Let it develop in you first. Then someone wants to copy it and let it evolve. And that's what's starting to happen. And I'm excited about that. And it takes time. And that's where I was like, back to your first thing, I used to want to be the biggest. Now I just want to be an excellent place to work. It's not even such thing as the best. It's a place that people here just want to copy what we're doing and carry that mantle for themselves in the commercial market, the industrial market, in a different metro or whatever. And that's going to take a long time, and that's okay. And some people have done it way better than me, and they've built really great companies a lot faster. And between luck, their giftedness, their healthier upbringings, they're brighter than I am, a relationship that bonded faster, whatever. That's awesome. And I'm going to cheer them on and follow their example and reiterate and iterate what we're doing here and continue to get it right so we build people really, really well. So, yeah. ADHD, trying to hone it in and figure out what to do and do it on a small scale so I can play with things myself and then let people copy it instead of trying to do something new every month.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I actually, well, it's funny because like it was a really good response, and it's funny because like for me, I'll draw stuff out, and I'm like, my wife's like, and it's so funny just because like I'm just with her so much, and so she just always like she's like, you said like 16 points, and I'm like. And so anyways, I for sure have ADHD as well. I haven't officially been diagnosed, self-diagnosed, but definitely do. And it's funny because my wife's like, you should get diagnosed.
Yeah,
that way
right?
you know for sure. I'm like, what difference is it going to make? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, I have ADHD.
Yeah.
I already knew it. But honestly, just like, the way you communicate and just everything you added, all the color, all that sort of stuff, it just makes so much sense. And it just causes me to want, hey, let's go this one.
Yeah.
And so the last thing I want to ask you is basically reflecting back on the initial question I asked you. So specifically, we're talking about like success, and I gave a few of those examples of those individuals who are like how they define success, and like having grown up kids who love them, all that sort of things. The one individual that we've touched on here, like at the beginning, in the middle, and then even towards the end, is your wife Tina.
Mm-hmm.
So my last question for you is, what sort of impact has your wife had on you as a man, as a leader, as a business owner, as just Rob Scott? Like what sort of impact? Because, and I say this, and I'm happy to redact this piece. I'm happy if you're like, hey, dude, let's remove that. I remember I was here, and then all of a sudden, I think it was Bill and Melinda Gates got divorced. And I remember you saying, you're like, you called Tina right away. You just told her you loved her. Like, hey, like, man, this is crazy. And it was like reinforcing something like I want to do the rest of my life, all that sort of stuff. And it's just interesting because I always heard her, and I'm sure the listeners heard her woven into your story and all these sort of things. And it's super awesome. So my question is like, what sort of impact has your wife had on you?
Yeah, it was Jeff Bezos.
Okay, with Mackenzie Scott.
Because I thought what I'd heard about him, and I mean, I don't know him at all, but what I'd heard is like, with all of his success, he had just such a high standard for keeping his wife and his kids first and his routine. And like, oh man, like I don't get like awestruck by people a lot. And then I was like, dang, what happened, dude? Like you thought that marriage and family was really important and you talked about it, but something went off. So yes. What impact has Tina had? Probably the biggest is understanding truly what love and grace is. When like you're married to someone with ADHD, I got diagnosed when she went back to law school. Like I started seeing a psychologist, and I don't know, 6 months in, he's like, dude, you should go see a psychiatrist and get diagnosed because I'm pretty sure you have it. So I did all the tests and I was like, oh yeah, you got it big time. And Tina's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So it didn't really help other than just put a stamp on it. But I've read a lot of books on ADHD and the impact that there's a lot of great things about it. Tons of great things. I'm sure my youngest daughter's got it. She just like me, but I watch her struggle with, I mean, there's a spectrum of how it impacts people. But like social or responding to emotional cues or not feeling like I think part of my ability to continue to grow Scott Coatings in the midst of some of the hardest financial, emotional, darkest seasons are because of ADHD. Sometimes I'm like, I can absorb pain, and it's because I can forget things. And my wife's like, well, yeah, you can, but some things you shouldn't forget. And because of her grace with me through 25 years married in last July, recent July, 28 years together, you begin to see what love really is. And that matters. And so when I say like, I don't want to die married. I want to die more in love with this lady and her more in love with me and happier than ever. And my kids aspire to like, I want what mom and dad had, and their grandkids aspire to, I want what Pop and Grandma Tina had. Like I only have that because she stayed the course. Like I have not made it easy for her. I think I'm a good husband, and I think I'm a good dad, and I think I'm a good business leader, but I haven't always been good. I've had plenty of mistakes, and a lot of them that could have been avoided by just slowing down and being more methodical. And Proverbs talks about those who are impatient are foolish, and it leads to folly. And I've read Proverbs enough times that I should know that. And to think that doesn't apply to me, like it sounds really good at Silicon Valley, go fast and break a lot of things, but not in relationships.
Yep.
And not when you don't have millions or billions of dollars from VC funding that they want you to burn to figure out stuff. When you actually have your own money that affects your family and the employees that are going to be hurting because of your poor choices. not everything that you read in the newspapers applies.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I'm only sitting here talking to you through life's up and downs because my wife has helped sustain me when I doubted myself to the utmost. Like, I don't know if I can pull this off. She's believed in me even when there was almost nothing to believe in. And maybe she shouldn't have. And she stayed with me when I made choices that hurt more than just her. And that's awesome. And it sure makes you know what love is when you experience grace at its utmost. And when you truly let it permeate you, it makes you like, you have two choices. It's like the stupid cliches, and you can get bitter or you can get better. And it's like, man, it really wants you to, I want to get better. And it's not even that I want to get better selfishly so I can be better. I want to get better so I can serve and honor what I've seen walked out with me, before me, in her actions towards me. Like, she deserves my actions to show repentance and show humility and show that I kicked ass as a result of what a lot of people say couldn't be done because she believed. And not only do I want her to see all that walked out, but I want her to experience the good, and not just the good of the money results, the good of seeing when there is abundance and there's time freedom. I was like, he still makes these choices that I don't have to watch anymore, or hope that he's going to make those choices in that box when time, money, bankers, bonding companies aren't demanding that he makes those choices. Man, he has all that freedom now, and look at him. If anything, he's continued to limit that box to get sharper when he makes the choices. It's going to be that much better. I want her to see the result of that more than anything else.
That's awesome. Yeah. Any final messages? Like, just one last thought. If you were to like, so like right now, and it doesn't have to be super long, but if there's a previous GC you work with, existing, future GC, or if there's a existing employee, future employee, or an employee that left, and like you mentioned, you alluded to it a little bit before, maybe talked behind your back, or a competitor, or a vendor, or all, like, if you're to leave one last message with everybody that just listened to everything that you had to say, and I'm sure there's a lot more we could talk about, what would that one message be?
My wife she's working at my girls' school right now. She's the director of advancement, and the woman she's working for is I don't know her title, the president, the head of school. And she said, Rob, she has modeled being kind and direct better than anyone I've ever seen. And she uses, her name is Kim Dawson, and I'm gonna butcher it because I can't remember the exact quote, but she quotes this to Tina, my wife, all the time. It's Mother Teresa had a saying that even when someone does the wrong thing to you, you do the right thing, and you do it with kindness and love. You do it anyway. And we could find the right quote and put it on here because I don't remember what it is, but it's basically, you do the right thing and you do it with kindness anyways. Even when someone's wronged you, even when you don't feel like doing it. And I hope that's the way I end my life, because I haven't always done that well in business or in friendships over time. I think I'm a good friend, and I think I'm pretty loyal. But there's been times where it's like, man, I should have said something different, or I should have kept my mouth shut. Same thing with relationships within the company or with a customer. It's like, do the right thing and do it despite the way you're being treated. Say the kind thing on that person's behalf when they just talk trash to you, to your face, behind your back. And not because of them, but because of your own heart. I'm doing this for my selfish thing because I want my heart to stay soft. And Tina's like, Kim just does that. She's like, I'm not doing it because of them. They don't deserve it. I'm doing it because I want to keep my heart soft. Because everyone else that I'm going to interact with, if I respond to them the wrong way, I'm just going to get hard and more mean. And they do deserve that. But I want to be open to everyone else I'm going to come in contact with, that I stay soft because they all need it. And so does that person. And I'm like, oh, that's so good. Do the right thing because it's what I need to do. And I need to keep my heart soft. I don't want to be closed up because then my world gets smaller and more myopic, and I can't really let my light shine to whatever degree it might. So I needed to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and do it anyways because I want my heart to be soft. So keep doing that everywhere you go, every interaction you have, even when you don't feel like doing it.
Well said. And thank you so much, Rob, for coming on the first official Construction CEO podcast. My final thoughts are, the reality is I think the industry is riddled with executive CEOs such as yourself, and it's such a humble industry where there's just people just heads down, let me just do my thing, trying to make people's lives better, all that sort of stuff. But I'm realizing there's a lot of lessons, stories, perspectives that I just think add more color to the industry. And at a high level, it's like, especially too, like, there's probably a preconceived notion, not on just construction, but even painting contractors. Like I have a client who's in the same industry on the other side of the States. And he used this phrase of like, a lot of people think of painters as like two trucks in a truck. Like it's just, it's just two, just a few guys out of their van and that's it. Like there's no business acumen, but no, this is a legit operation that we're at. 22 years in business. We talked about tech. We talked about all these sort of things. And the reality is I think there's a lot of story to be told about not just your company, but the industry at large. And honestly, the incredible people that are part of this industry. And so I just appreciate you being on here and being willing to just let us into your view, your lens on how you see the world, specifically in construction and coatings, painting, marriage, life, all that sort of stuff, business. And so that this is such a good, like I said, and I mentioned this before we started hitting record, but hopefully this will be one of many more conversations. Cause I even probably looking back on my list later, I'd be like, oh yeah, we didn't touch on like 50% of what I wanted to talk about, which is totally cool. I love this natural progression, but just thank you so much for coming on the pod. And also for those of you that are listening, go check out Rob Scott on LinkedIn. He posts content on there, as well as go check out Scott Coatings' social media, or go check out scottcoatings.com if you want to learn more about whether it's working for Scott Coatings. If you resonate with anything that Rob said today, specifically around how he's obviously you've learned the lessons learned, the school of hard knocks that he's had to go through. But if you resonate with his leadership style or his culture, what he's ultimately trying to build here, go apply there. If you want to learn how to do business with him on the next project, go to the website. But once again, thank you so much, Rob, for coming on the pod.
Thanks for inviting me. Loved it.